For our July 8, 2025 meeting, please. Oh, okay. Before we do that, we have a new board member here sitting to my right. Dennis Smith. He is supervisor in Newtown Township at this moment, although he won't be as of January 1st. Right. Is there anything you'd like to say by way of introduction, Dennis?
Yes, glad to be here. I followed I've been to meetings and sitting in the chairs before, so I guess my biggest experience with the sewer authority was when they redid the laterals on Nowtown.
That's right, that's your neighborhood.
I'm sorry. And then COVID hit. So.
Well, you're welcome here. We're glad to have you aboard. Okay, now the motion to approve the minutes of July 8, 2025, please.
So moved.
Second? Brenda and Ellen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions, comments, any additions or amendments to it? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All those in favor of approving the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Thank you. Chris?
I will abstain.
So we have 4 in favor, 1 abstention, and 1 absent. I should say Christine is not here today. She's
Correct.
on vacation. Okay, we're up to public comment, number 3. Any public comment today? We'll have another one at the end in all likelihood. John?
I am John Mack, Newtown Supervisor. I came to this meeting because I had to test my hearing aids, new hearing aids.
How's it working?
Dennis, I did hear you. I know you're a soft speaker, so
Yes.
you're a good test. But I am concerned about EDUs, and I heard some things about this. EDUs being granted without going through a proper procedure at the township. From what I understand, that Mr. Lewis told us that when a development seeks EDUs, they have to fill out a form to the Bucks County Sewer and Water Authority. And that form is reviewed by our township engineer. I have never heard of a review by our township engineer, especially with regard to a development of a daycare center up on Route 413, which I heard has secured several EDUs, even though my understanding is that there is I don't know what you call it, a hold or something like that. Not many EDUs are supposed to be given. I know that the borough has said in the patch that it's no longer going to be able to approve developments because there are no EDUs. Now, I didn't read the whole article, but that's an interesting position. And I'm just wondering if the proper procedures are being followed, and especially with regard to what we as township officials should be able to review, namely this application, for example, for EDUs. Does the sewer authority know anything about that?
Not officially, because we don't get involved in the submission of EDUs, the request for EDUs, or the distribution of EDUs. I just heard something about this today, and I really haven't read anything.
Okay.
But
I could speak to
sure.
some changes in process a little bit, which we've spoken to. I think, Mike, you want me to
Go ahead.
Want to go?
Yeah, it's fine. No,
So, the township and the borough have always been responsible for the administration of the EDU process. That process changed, we've talked about multiple times, about a year and a half ago.
May 24.
Okay, about a year and a half ago.
Mm-hmm.
When DEP and Bucks County Water and Sewer Authority had a meeting regarding updating of the connection management plan. For many years, the connection management plan included for sake of a better word, a bucket of miscellaneous EDUs that both the township and the borough could draw from. DEP indicated that the intent of those miscellaneous EDUs was not for any development that came along, that it was there more for individual connections, failing septic systems and the like. So, yeah, so they changed the process and removed that bucket of EDUs from the connection management plan. And the information, again, it's the township and the borough are owners of the process, but obviously as the sewer authority, we get involved. And what we were told was that new projects going forward would be evaluated on a case-by-case basis. And I would say we were not given enormous detail as to what that case-by-case basis meant specifically. But it didn't say that they're they tried to say, they're not saying there are no EDUs, they're saying that they need to be evaluated on a case-by-case basis.
Which is very common to be handled that way by other communities. We were very rare that we had this bucket that Terry's talking about. That's very not normal. That is now gone, and it is on a case-by-case basis. But to your point, this job, the 413 project, we've been back and forth with these fellows for over a year.
Right.
They were disputing the EDU. They wanted a number, and it didn't meet our guidelines. So I had it finally enough, and I called Jim Napoleon at Bucks County Water and Sewer. I said, listen, we need to put together a Teams meeting. We had 6 or 7 people. We talked it through, and within a couple hours, the resubmission was on paper for the amount of EDUs that would be required as a standard operating procedure that this township and borough requires. We were told that as far as at the township level, and you should know this, but they're turnkey ready to go other than EDUs. So everything has been approved up at the township level as far as construction, and I don't know any of that stuff. So they're ready to go other than the EDUs.
And I think it's also important to note, again, I don't think we can answer this at the authority level, the form that you're talking about, the township engineer reviewing, we wouldn't be familiar with that process as to whether, Mike did get involved with, because of that change, there was a lot of confusion as to what the process would be. If the miscellaneous EDUs are available, what is the process for requesting EDUs and getting on the connection management plan? Jump in if I'm inaccurate. Mike, so, and that form that you're speaking of is a request form. It's a request to be placed on the Neshaminy Interceptor connection management plan, and it includes information regarding the project and how many EDUs and all that. And that form is submitted to the township. We would not know what the process is if the township engineer does or does not have to review that, or whether Micah just sends that to the county. And that could be either, right? Correct?
To the engineer. Township engineer, Micah gives it to the township engineer, engineer then sends it to both the county and the county engineer, which is
Carol engineer.
Yeah, Steve Hartman. This was so confusing in the beginning, I guess after about 2 months, I had enough. And I called Steve Hartman, the county's engineer, and I said, we all need clarity. Township manager doesn't have a clue, I don't have a clue, borough doesn't have a clue, you need to draw something up. So then he officially came up with this NICMP form. Now, the county always had that, but it wasn't at the local level. So now, John Mack wants an additional EDU. You will go to Newtown Township or Newtown Borough, ask to be placed onto the NICMP. Micah or Michelle Fountain, depends on where you're at, will fill it out and kick it off to Steve Hartman and Bucks County Water and Sewer for their review. There's still people that have been put on the NICMP and are, I guess, still waiting. You know, once that process happens, we won't know until it's finalized. So we're not in that once it's initiated, that's it, it's gone, and then when it's approved, then we know.
So
did they jump the line, so to speak?
No, this has been going on, but this project has, I'm telling you, is over a year old.
Well, it's
So-
not that old, because because
It
we,
was in, April that we approved it.
yeah.
Well, one of the first things they do is to get on this NICMP list, if they know about the game, the process, you wanna figure out how many EDUs you're gonna need. This particular job, they were lowballing it the whole way.
And that's where the authority is, really the only place the authority is involved at that level is they have an EDU schedule that determines how many EDUs non-residential properties would need based on data.
Yeah.
And some, past
So this
data.
is not what our engineer does, this is what you do, determining?
We assist developers in determining how many EDUs they should request, if it's non-residential.
We give them our guidelines, then they have to build it.
Not guidelines, really,
Yeah,
requirements.
requirements.
But what exactly does the township engineer have to do with this process? You don't.
I don't know of anything
Well-
other than submit the request to be on the NICMP.
DEP requires this is part of what's called the sewage planning process.
Mhm.
And DEP requires that process to be handled at the municipal level, like either at the township or at the borough.
Okay.
It's-
So this is
it's a
kind
DEP
of,
requirement.
just goes through the township without the supervisors being aware of this process happening. And so we're approving or not approving projects based upon what we think is available EDUs or not available.
I would, and I don't know, I don't wanna speak, I can speak to a lot of land development approval for developers, those conditional approval letters, I don't know if you've seen them. Almost all of them include the condition that sewage planning has been addressed and approved. So the township may be approving developments, but they acknowledge that is a condition of approval. I don't know that for Newtown, but it is very common in development approval.
So then, yes, you would have approved it,
All right, I guess.
if that's the case.
If that's, and I
the
think
wording.
you're saying they received approval in April, Mike, that was probably land development
for
approval, right,
Yeah.
land development approval.
But that's part of it,
That
more
Yeah,
than
I know,
likely.
like-
well, it's a condition, it just
Yeah.
says it's approved with the condition
And
that
there are
sewage,
many
that sewage,
conditions, and that's
there are
one of
many
them.
conditions, and that is typically one of them.
Okay, so.
So you may have approved it as a township before it was, the EDUs were reviewed and released by the county.
Yeah, I know,
County
because I
authority.
asked them, don't you have to wait for EDUs? And they said, yes, we'll have to wait, we'll wait as long as it takes. Obviously, it didn't take very long, so I'm wondering how that process worked. But in
Well,
any
you can
case,
check with the county to find out how the process works once the paperwork has been submitted.
yeah,
Well, see, we're not the bank. We don't have an EDU bank here.
right.
It's all controlled by Bucks County Water and
Well,
Sewer.
that's great, I asked ChatGPT how to do that, and I gave him the whole instructions about how to talk
And
to
you know
the
as much as
Bucks
they-
County Sewer Water Authority, how to write a letter to them, what to ask for. I might need your help, Mike, in terms of the number of EDUs and stuff like that. But,
And I don't think it's approved yet, just so you know.
Yeah, it's still,
It's still in process.
Right. They
'cause
just
we don't-
resubmitted.
They just submitted, well,
so it's only been submitted.
at this point, correct, resubmitted, yes.
So they could have, they're at the back of the line then.
I don't know lines. We
Yeah,
don't
we
do,
don't- we don't know anything
we don't
about
do
that.
lines. Now, I'm gonna tell you right now, so everybody can hear. I was asked about what jobs are here and there and what's ready to go, and I said, whoa, this authority has never and will not ever decide what jobs are for the picking here. That's the county.
Okay.
I made that very clear. Mike is on the same page with me. We do not pick these jobs.
and I don't wanna minimize the involvement of DEP, because the county may have no lines either, but one project may have a cleaner submission to DEP that gets approved quicker. It might, those requirements that sewage planning process is comprehensive at the state level. And a project that may appear to have been submitted well after another project could get approved first, just because its submission is more comprehensive and meets DEP's requirements, where another may not. So submission to DEP first in no way means you're in the front of the line.
And if you're wondering if they get approved quicker than someone else, you do have to remember, at the township level, you guys you're cleared them. They're ready to go. So if there was something holding this up, that would also
That would.
hold up the giving out of these EDUs. So at the township level, from what I understand, this job is ready to start digging. They just gotta get these
It's already
EDUs.
done.
Well, you know what I mean, they're ready. So once these EDUs are finalized, you guys have already done your part.
Okay.
So, just correct my understanding, this all has to do with the Neshaminy collector, interceptor, not having enough capacity to handle a lot of this waste water. And now that was supposed to be upgraded, any update on, upgrading that?
The last we heard that they raised rates in 2022 to cover $60 million to put toward that, job. We don't know anything about it, and if you can get a hold of someone, that would be great, because we can't get updates.
All right, thanks very much for the information.
I just have a question to piggyback on what John said. Shouldn't the approval process then be reversed? It's like, if it's so complicated to get the EDUs from the county and all the different factors that are involved, and it seems to be that we're at capacity and it's, you have to look very carefully at what's available. Shouldn't a builder, a homeowner, whoever it is, get that approved first before they can even look at developing? Because, like, to me, how do you know how much you can develop if you don't know what's available, right? So it's almost like wasting the supervisors or the borough officials' time to approve something that if there aren't EDUs, then you're going, well, you can't do it now because there aren't any EDUs. So since that seems to be the overriding factor, shouldn't that process be first, and once they get that check mark, then they go to the township supervisors?
That might be more logical, but we don't control that either. And it's all DEP that sort of sets us in motion. They assigned responsibility for doing that to the county authority. So whether the developer wants to move forward, there's no law that says the developer can't do anything until they get the EDUs. They take the risk of moving forward without getting the EDUs. That's why most will wait until they get them before they put shovels in the ground. But they have already, have an option on the land, and they make the contracts with the builders and all that. The risk is on them. There could be a better, smoother system. That's sort of way above our pay grade.
So, let me just get this straight. With what the borough said, as far as what I read or heard about, can a township official say, when it comes up for conditional approval or whatever it's called, we're not going to approve this unless there's real EDUs involved, unless the Neshaminy interceptor collector, whatever it's called, has been upgraded. We're never going to approve your plan. Can we do that?
I don't know that she said that.
I don't think.
Michelle, from what I understand, Michelle Fountain, and I watched it, she basically was asked what's going on with the EDUs. What she explained was what actually happened a year ago. So she was catching the board up on information that was given out in May of '24.
So they had
The
no idea.
reporter,
The borough.
I don't know, I talked to Craig, and Craig, they knew. The reporter wrote it as if it just happened. So it was eye candy all over the news.
All right.
But that information, John, was a year ago, over a year ago.
Did you read one of the last sentences where it said, if we could solve the problem by building something ourselves, we would do that, but we can't. And I just landed on a plane, right? And I open up the patch and this is what I see, and I'm like,
My phone.
what the heck?
I know. The next day, my phone was ballistic. And it's old information.
So I'm not sure that answered your last question. Are you satisfied with that answer?
I don't know, it's something I'm gonna have to take up maybe at the board meeting and talk about it and see what our solicitor might have to say regarding that.
Yeah, my sense of it is that because the supervisors don't have a call on EDUs, they really you can make it a general condition knowing that another entity is in control of that process, but I'm not sure that you can say that we're not gonna do anything unless something else happens when you don't control that process.
Is there a set procedure from the municipal planning commission? It says you have to do that such and such.
Well, there is, but.
I don't know that there's an order. There's certainly a procedure, but I think you've all been through the land development process enough that so many things run in parallel, and there could be risks for environmental permitting, there could be risks for.
Highway occupancy.
Exactly, there's so many things that run in parallel, because they can all take a long time, that, to what the chairman said, the developer proceeds at risk, right, with any avenues they take.
Conditional use process is way late in the game. After everybody's built their stores, built their restaurants, everything's ready to go, and then we do a conditional use, as if the board of supervisors or the planning commission has some control that makes some sense. We tried to deny a conditional use, we got sued the next day, because they've already committed, they've already built the store, the signs are up, they're ready to open, and we're saying we're not gonna grant a conditional use.
If I could answer your question. For the past year and a half, if anybody calls here looking for an EDU, the first thing I tell them, get on the NICMP, go to your borough, go to the township, and get in whatever you gotta do with the DEP, get that done as well. So no one has ever let on, or, I'm very upfront with these people, get on the list, and then I direct them to the township. If it's the township, Micah fills it out, and then away it goes, so.
Well, we appreciate all you do, Mike. It just seems like
It's
the
frustrating.
process should be the other way, because
Well,
it all depends on what's available as to
it's
what
not.
someone's planning to do.
This is how it's been, this is the procedure, and get on the list.
So for example, a Holy Trinity Church or Holy.
The Holy Family thing,
Holy Family, they want
300.
300?
Not 100, 300.
300.
We haven't heard anything back from them. in a
They
while.
haven't come to you yet?
Oh, yeah.
They
They
have.
talk to
Oh,
us.
he was coming to me every couple of weeks.
They are expanding the university.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna meet with,
And then there's the Worthington's homestead thing.
Well, that just hit the paper, I don't know anything about it. We don't have anything on paper, nothing that's been submitted.
Nothing
so-
came to you about that?
Not yet, no. The good note part?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, nothing on that yet.
Okay.
See, it almost seems like a waste of supervisors' time, right? If there's nothing there for people to have, why are they going through planning and all these other processes? If the
They
main
want-
one is.
They wanna get on the list, there's a value.
Well, there's the land development process can take a very long time. Sewage planning is just one piece of it. There's zoning, there's many pieces that can affect the timeline and derail a project. So I don't think it's accurate to say that sewage planning should be first, because you could argue that about multiple elements of the land development zoning process.
Yeah, but with the zoning process, it's about tweaking, but EDUs, you can't make them happen if they're not available, that's all I'm saying, it's almost like.
But we're not saying they're not available, that's the point. It's evaluated on a case-by-case basis, and we haven't had one that got to the end of the line and was denied. It's just the timeline.
Okay.
What I'm experiencing now is there are developers who are bypassing the procedures. Okay, for example, if you want variances, they are moving ahead with implementing things that require variances before getting clearance from the zoning hearing board.
I
And
can't
it's
help you
very,
with
and
that.
so this whole processes are very upsetting to me. Like Dennis, I'm not gonna be around as a supervisor after the 31st, but I'm gonna keep my newsletter going and be a podcaster.
Any further?
I just have one other question. I know that Supervisor Fisher had said he was in favor of moving either the meetings to the evening, like a group of us have been asking for, televised. So I was encouraged